Hi, everybody. Take two. You don't know that, though. But welcome out here to Greenfields Farm for our second summer Sunday update. I should have picked an easier thing to say to call it than that. But our second episode out here at the farm. Thank you for joining us. We are heading into the, what is it, the fourth week of May? We've just had the third week of May. Gosh, and typically I always build it up in my mind that this time of year it's going to be absolutely nuts out here. And while it is in one way, yeah, looking back on this last week, it's really been a pretty
easy ride.
Pretty nice ride. Really great week. One of the things that's helped with that is we did finish up our corn and soybean planting on the main farm. So grateful for that, and glad to have that done. Not that the work there is anywhere near done, but at least that part of it is, and we're transitioning into the next things this summer. So what do we do this week? I had to make a list. I got it down here in front of me, and actually these updates I really like for the fact that it makes me kind of reflect on the past week to appreciate all that we've been able to do. So yeah, finished planning. We the animal update, we talked about the pigs some last time. Bernadette has been weaned now. Her baby piglets are doing well on their own, and she is hanging out with our boar bruiser, and with the hopes that there will be more baby pigs because of that, which should be right on time for, what did you say, September 12th. So opening weekend of pumpkin season, we might have pigs, or baby pigs, if it all goes as planned. Our next sow, Holly, she'll be farrowing soon, probably in a week or so, you said?
I think so.
So we'll show that when that happens, but that's all going well. Our meat chickens, we got our 50 meat chickens arrived, so I think we've actually got some video of that I'm sure Nathan has probably overlaid and is playing right now, but you'll see Caleb, he heads up all that poultry stuff, and he is taking them out of the container they're shipped in and dipping their beaks in the water to get them used to drinking. And happy to report that those chicks, I think every one of them has made it. Typically you'll lose a few. We got those from a great young man,
Sullivan Pheasant Farm.
Sullivan Pheasant Farms up Petersburg, Illinois. Actually went and picked those up, hit up Lincoln's New Salem while we were there. It was a pretty good trip there. That was Monday, I guess. So planted some pumpkins. It's way too early to plant pumpkins, and I didn't just plant pumpkins because I couldn't wait. This had a purpose. We planted some processing pumpkins. If we plant pumpkins now, they'll be ready come into July, early August, which is way early, but we wanted these processing pumpkins early because we're going to try to get them in and make more pumpkin butter out of them, along with some early apple butter, to have more to sell this fall. So all that timing, we got those planted. I think we had some video of that too. Let's see, what else? Sprayed the weeds in our popcorn, so we're getting those cleaned up. Popcorn and ornamental corn, that's coming along. The boys I've got down here, they worked on their combine. I don't know if I've talked about that much, but we bought an old combine earlier this spring, late winter. Anyway, and mainly to use on our popcorn, and the boys are wanting to use it on some oats we have coming up here. It'll be at least a month or so on that, but really proud of them. They're
little mechanics.
Little mechanics. They got the corn head off of it. They're getting ready to put the bean head on it. They're making all these adjustments and finding out just what it means to work on machinery. So really proud of them. They Christie's been cleaning a lot of grease out of clothes lately because of that. Committing clothes to be greasy. Yeah. Let's see, we had the Pursuing Purpose gals out here. Had a real neat interview with them. You can check that out on their Facebook page. Had a real good conversation with them, and they're, again, nice to kind of reflect on what we're doing, why we're doing it. Last thing, I said I was going to work on last week setting up the mum irrigation and working on building our concession stand. Neither of those has happened. This week we got to work on the mum irrigation, although I did gather up a bunch of stuff for the concession stand remodel. It takes more time to gather the stuff than it does to build it sometimes. So that's what we were up to. And I put out on Facebook last week that we were going to let you, or asked if you wanted to be let into our personal lives a little bit more in terms of our family garden. So we're going to go there with you this time. We're going to have Christie talk about our family garden, which has been a work in progress the past 3 years or so. And I was going to start out by asking her, what is the drive, the purpose, your philosophy? Who influences you? That's a huge question, but why do all this gardening?
Mostly we do it to raise food for our family, but it's where I find my joy and my peace and my serenity, and my roses started blooming.
Look at those.
I've started liking roses the older I get. I get new rose plants in every year, and sometimes the boys are like, don't we already have roses? Yeah, but...
It's like chickens. Can't have too many.
Can't have too many.
Where's that one? There it is.
Yeah, so I grow a lot of flowers in it. I do some medicinal herbs in it that I'm learning how to do. And just having a place of peace. Where our garden is now, this is our 3rd year. Behind our house, it used to be a yard and a swing set. And when we tried to figure out where do we put Mommy's garden, that was kind of the best place. In terms of where I kind of got my style from, there's several homesteading YouTubers that I enjoy watching and following their story, and a lot of them have a kitchen garden. And then we went to Turkey Run State Park in Indiana and went to like an old mansion, and they keep it up. They kind of do the reenactment type thing. And so the garden there, we got to go visit. You walk in with like a weighted swing wooden door, and you walk in, and it's not rows and rows and rows and rows of like a market style garden. It was like this little square of green beans and this little square of something else with intercropped with a different type of plant, and it's pole greens growing on trellises and kind of succession planting things, and on the outside of it was perennials, things that are going to just stay there. And so I kind of came back from that and had a plan, and we've got strawberries around the edge, and I've got my roses, and we'll show you all that. And
it's a very functional garden, because the way I gardened all growing up, but you know, it was you till up a half an acre and you start planting stuff, and you end up
every week you till it up.
Yeah,
between
you cultivate it.
You
end up in August. All of a sudden, you've got 50 buckets of tomatoes, and that's what you get, and tons of green beans. Well, this is more of a we eat our way through the season with it, and it's kind of at the scale we need, and it's really it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's been different for me because it's different.
But I've
from what I
also
did.
found that we can grow a lot on not much space.
Yeah, that's what's amazing too. That's a good segue, because let's just show you this thing. We'll quit talking so much. We're already 7 minutes in. Starting with that, I'm looking behind us here, and we'll go over there. I want her to talk about her, what is it, a plant tower over there? Something I think most people watching this probably have a backyard they garden in or can. But if you don't, if you're at college or if you're somewhere you don't have a lot of space, we actually use something that helps a lot with that. I don't know if you want to just start with that. Yeah, I'll turn it around. I'll follow you. All right.
So this is a vertical garden. It's from Livestock, but it's called like a little tower, and it's got wheels on it. You can move it around. But why I got this was so that we could have lettuce up close to our house. I started some herbs in it late winter, early spring. Right now I've got some extra strawberries that I had to pick out of my garden rows, but what's nice about this is we see it from the kitchen. And so a lot of times Regan wants to make a sandwich for work or something, and he wants some lettuce. Well, instead of him tracking through the mulch to go pick a couple leaves of lettuce, he could just come here. And it also helps remind us that we need to eat salads.
Yeah, that lettuce on the bottom's ready to...
Yeah, this is ready, and these are ones I planted later. But you can rotate them. Some people they make deeper ones, and you can put full tomatoes and peas and green beans and things like that. We've got plenty of space for that. This is more so to just do some more lettuces. But what's neat about this is that you water from the top, and it slowly waters the whole way down. If it waters too much, it runs out the bottom, and so it's kind of a pretty easy way to grow in a small space.
Yeah, so you can start at that scale, and even we use it at that scale, and then you can see where it goes from there, which is what we will show you next. I'm gonna follow you on this one, dear, because kind of people get an idea where we're at. But it's right off the back of our house here, off the deck. It's gorgeous to look at and manageable. Start right here, Christy, because I want you to talk about these strawberries. And
so we've got strawberries basically in the landscaping. I used to try to put flowers and things here, and then they have to weed it. And so what the strawberries have done is we can go through and pick. They're starting to turn now, so we've been starting to munch through them, but they've taken over this area, and so we're able to, in a normal area you would probably put flowers and maybe mulch it. You can put these ever-bearing strawberries that put on fruit 4 times during the summer, and then I don't even have to weed it, so
Yeah.
it kind of does two things.
Yeah, and we just made some burgers for lunch, and as we're waiting for that, you come down here and you munch on berries, and it's awesome to have there. So here we go. Here it is.
Here's my garden. Regan built me this fence with my beautiful swing gate. Basically just trying to add flowers and vegetables into our beauty that we have in the backyard, but make it purposeful. So we've got garlic we planted. We've got my roses.
She says we, and make sure you know that's her and the boys, and not so much me. I don't take any credit for this.
We have a
Yeah, you got a big crew, but
So
I
we
don't
got
get credit
garlic
for
we
this.
planted last fall. Some onions I let over winter.
Let's I'm sorry, I keep interrupting, but this stuff just amazes me so much. Garlic is something I never grew gardening growing up. It is so easy and so useful. If you're going to grow anything, look into garlic. It amazes me. Sorry, go ahead.
So the garlic won't be ready till about July, end of June, July. We've got some broccoli we started. There's some dill that's coming back. This is where I put horseradish a few years ago, and so now I'm forever pulling horseradish to get it out of here so I can plant something else. Like I said, this is where our swing set used to be, and our geothermal well got dug here, and so it's not the best soil. The reason I planted the horseradish is to try to break up the ground. But so when the broccoli comes out, we'll plant something else in its place, and try to keep using a small space in the garden to keep growing things.
And notice over her shoulder, there's a rose there. There's more strawberries. It's all intertwined, which is.
And there's a rose behind
Beautiful
you I
to me.
planted this year that you can't see.
Oh, and what are you? Let's talk a minute. What are you walking on there?
Walking on free mulch from the electric company.
Yeah, so thank you to those guys that bring it out to us when they're close, and of course straw and just lots of ground covers. There's lots of weeding out here, obviously, but there's no real tilling or.
Well, and like the broccoli, we weed it, we hoe it one final time, get a nice hot day so the weeds die, and then we mulch it with straw, and then I don't have to mess with it. But if you look over here, this is still kind of we're working at this part, and it's still really, really weedy. But once we figure out what we're going to grow here and get that taken care of, we'll put straw down, and then hopefully won't have to weed it so much, because we get busy with pumpkin stuff July and August when the weeds would take over and I would lose the crop here. So along the fence here we've got some pole beans, so that'll be dry beans that we can use for cooking,
like chili and
chili and stuff. This year we gave the kids a pretty big chunk of the garden because Regan built me a high tunnel, so my garden got bigger. So this is Caleb's area, and he's got zucchini and beans and carrots and tomatoes. Here's my bean tunnel. And so I've got some onions planted along the side. These green beans will grow over the tunnel and provide shade for other things like this cabbage that I'm trying to grow underneath it.
And how many quarts of green beans, because of course she cans a ton, how many quarts of green beans can you get off of this one bean tunnel?
Well, we also ate fresh. We probably did 50 quarts of green beans just from this small tunnel area, plus eating fresh whatever we wanted during the summer. So.
And I always used to grow.
He used to curse pole beans.
Well, yeah, and I used to grow bush beans, but these pole beans, they produce like crazy, and they're up. The way she's got that tunnel is it's so cool, and maybe we'll show you later this summer, but the beans hang down underneath, and you literally go under there, you're in the shade, you're not crawling on your hands and knees, and you pick the things right at shoulder level.
Well, and
so
pole beans are indeterminate, so they'll put on all summer and keep growing. Bush beans, like what Caleb has, is they'll put on maybe 3 times and then they're done, but they put on all at one time.
Yeah.
And so these are staggered, and then they all have their place in our garden. Nathan's over here this year, and he's growing most of my outdoor tomatoes. So he's going to try a new trellising thing this year. It's called the Florida weave, where you basically wrap twine tightly around these poles, and then you're gonna put twine on one side and twine on the other side, and then kind of twist it between each plant, and they're gonna grow straight up. He'll prune all the suckers off. Basically, at each armpit there's a wannabe shoot starting to grow, so he'll prune that off so they're not so bushy. But then we don't have all the tomato cages taking up all the space, so he's going to try that this year. Some lettuce, some more noodle beans, big red long noodle beans he's going to grow on this fence. Then I've got some random stuff in these raised beds.
Raised beds. That's raised beds there because we used to have the swing set there and we had rubber mulch under it and we couldn't get all that rubber mulch out of here. We didn't really want to be growing in that, so we're growing on top of it. You see Jeremiah's over there, that's his space. Looks like he's getting caught up on some hoeing.
Yep, and we've got some herbs and sage, and I've got some snapdragons planted in front of this fence so that we'll have flowers for the pollinators. We've got flowers planted intermixed here. Some flowers are supposed to keep insects away, other ones are just supposed to be for bees and different pollinators. Parsley and lettuce, and this is rutabaga that
Let me come back to you. There we go.
Rutabaga from last year that's going to seed. We've got some kale here going to seed. Another thing we're going to try this year is we don't have to keep this many, we're just lazy. I like the flowers,
Lazy,
even
huh?
the yellow ones.
Yeah.
Is to save some of our own seeds so we don't have to keep buying it. So.
Yeah, you can do that with, you know, carrots and, well, everything. Yep. So I'm here with Jeremiah in his plot of the garden, and he likes to find the weird and wonderful plants. And one he's come up with is this sensitive plant. So it's really intriguing to me. JJ, can you tell me about the sensitive plant?
Whenever you like rub its leaves, it kind of like shrivels up into one thing. So like, it bugs in it, so like, it shrivels up and it's like, oh, man, I don't like shriveled up plants. Then they leave. And if they're really big animals that come and try to eat it, it's covered in thorns. Today, this is my garden. I'm Jackson Yale. And today, you can see my sunflowers.
Those are beautiful. Good
They're
plants.
pretty big, almost big enough to start blooming,
Mm-hmm.
but not yet. And then you see here are my peas.
Peas. Now, are you going to eat those once you harvest them?
Yeah, and then here are my climbing beans, my noodle beans.
Why are they next to the fence?
So they can twine around the fence and grow there.
Very cool. All right,
And then here's my little statue of a turtle.
And you painted that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Awesome, Jackson. Awesome job. All right, so here we are in Ryan's garden. What do you got going on here, man?
I have carrots, 2 sunflowers, well actually 3, and I have bush beans, lettuce, some cosmos that came back from last year.
You didn't even have to plant those?
I didn't.
Wow.
And then I have pole beans, my little
Irish poet.
Irish poet.
What's Irish poet?
It's an orange flower that's really soft.
Okay. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. All right, and you're going to eat all this stuff?
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, hey, what about this? What's this right here?
We don't really know. It's either
No, these right here. Yeah, some stuff you don't know what it is in the garden. What about this here?
that is my wattle fence that I made whenever nothing was here.
Yeah, you made it out of blackberry canes, didn't you?
Ryan?
So that's like a
This one works.
very old way of making
Apparently.
fencing. He weaved it all together.
This
That
one
one's gonna be a
rooted.
Oh, look, yeah, now you're going to have a blackberry growing there.
Oh,
Yay!
crud. We'll get that.
Put a tomato cage over it.
There you go. Good job, Ryan.
This is my herb garden. This was kind of the first thing that we did. So I've got chives and yarrow and peppermint that's taking over the side of the house, and also flowers and more roses. Along the fence in the back's my blackberries, and we've got a few cherry trees here along the fence, more strawberries, another tunnel right now. They're trying to grow peas, and then I'm going to plant cucumbers to grow over it once the peas hopefully make it and the cucumber beetles aren't so bad. And then we'll go toward the hoop house.
Yeah, that's a big story right there. All right, so we've moved over here to the high tunnel. Now, everybody wants to call it a greenhouse. It's not technically a greenhouse because there's no heat in it.
But I call it a greenhouse.
Yeah, we all call it a greenhouse. But this came from Farmer's Friend. They're a really great company that's making a lot of stuff for this smaller scale agriculture like this. It's unheated, but it keeps things warm. We can extend our season. The sides open up when it gets hot. They're closed today because it's not. And what our thought here was get tomatoes and warm season crops earlier. And also we're really hoping to plant cool season crops. She's leaving me, I'm talking too much. Cool season crops starting about July and hopefully harvest through Christmas in here. So as I walk in, the heat's just pouring out of here. So it's doing exactly what it's supposed to on a day like today.
85 in here.
85
like
and it's what, 60
55
outside? Yeah, so what have we here, dear?
Right now, until we get to July, like you said, whenever we want to plant our brassicas, our, what are they called, Brussels sprouts? We've never been able to grow outside. They need a long time. So we can grow Brussels sprouts and broccoli and cabbage in here over the winter and lettuce and pick from it all winter without having to take it inside. So right now though, we've got some peas, extra onions I had, some flowers, bush beans, spinach, more flowers, Swiss chard and basil, and then tomatoes are in the back.
You had some artichokes in here somewhere, didn't you?
Yeah, we're trying.
But artichokes are very long season that we can't normally grow here. But this is pretty much like taking our climate and making it more like it would be in, say,
Florida.
well, yeah, not quite Florida, but maybe, you know, southern Georgia, something like that. So, yeah, look at these tomatoes. You got.
What's cool in here is we have tomatoes up to my hip with blooms. We've got green tomatoes already, which is cool.
When were these planted in here, dear?
These were planted first part of April, I think.
Okay.
First thing.
And also, it keeps the rain off of them so they don't get disease.
As bad.
As bad. I mean,
In
they'll still
theory.
get some. I mean, there we've got zucchini and.
Zucchini over here, and the only thing is when it's closed up like this, bees aren't going to be able to come in and pollinate, but we still do have bugs in here, so we have to worry about that, these cucumber beetles. So we've got some zucchini here and then some cucumbers. I want to try to grow up this short little fence.
I'm going to get a close-up of your tomatoes here because that's kind of... She's training them up this yarn here that goes up and is held up top, but she's also pruning them. So if you look in here at the nodes, normally there'd be another sucker branch come out there, and she's picking all those off and weaving it around this yarn going up. And what'll happen is the fruit starts setting. Here's the first bloom, so we'll get some fruit there. We'll pick those, and then the next one will go, next one will go. And these things, when we come in here when they're producing, it'll just be like a straight line of fruit in one spot, and these things shouldn't get totally out of control on us, and it'll be just a continual thing until we grow all the way up to the ceiling. So cool.
Yeah, and then we've got a couple of watermelon in the back that we'll see if they grow. I don't know.
Yeah,
growing.
they're
We'll
up.
give them this area to take over so they can vine all over, but still too early to plant it outside, especially with all the bugs, so hoping we can have an early treat in here.
Yeah, and there's what, drip irrigation we're trying to get figured out. We found out our pressure was too high. We kept blowing holes in it, so we're waiting on a pressure regulator, but that should cover the watering. They've got it all mulched and everything, and just
So peppers
yeah.
on this side we just planted. They just got big enough to plant. And then some artichokes down here we're going to try. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
So thank you for going along with us on this garden tour. This is where our family's food comes from. When we start milking our own cow here, hopefully in a couple weeks, we'll be growing 95% of what we eat, and it's a lot more work. It's probably not any cheaper than going to the store, but for us it's fulfilling, and I'm just so
Very satisfying.
so proud of these guys. Like I said, this isn't my thing. I'm busy with all the stuff we do for you over at the farm, and so proud of these guys and what they do and produce for us. So let us know what you thought of this video. Let's hit us with questions. Tune in again next week, and of course, let's finish with thanking God for all this. What prayer would you guys like to do?
We give you thanks
For all your benefits, Almighty God, who lives and reigns forever. May the souls of the faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. Amen. Have a great week, everybody.